Once there was a miller who was poor but who had a beautiful daughter. Now it happened that he had to go and speak to the king, and in order to make himself appear important, he said to him, I have a daughter that can spin straw into gold. The king said to the miller, This is an art which pleased me well. Well, if your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her tomorrow to my place, and I'll put her to the test. And when the girl was brought to him, he took her into a room which was quite full of straw, gave her a spinning wheel and reel, and said, Now set to work. Gold. That's all the hay. Matthew has And if by tomorrow morning early you have not spun the straw to gold during the night, you must die. Therefore he himself locked up the room and left her in it alone. So there sat the poor miller's daughter, and for the life of her could not tell what to do. She had no idea how straw could be spun into gold, and she grew more and more frightened, until at last she began to weep. But all at once the door opened, and in came a little man and said, Good evening, mistress. Miller, why are you crying so? Alas, answered the girl, I have to spin straw into gold, and I do not know how to do it. What will you give me, said the Rumpilstiltskin, if I do it for you? My necklace, said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seating himself in front of the wheel, and whir 3 turns, and the reel was full. Then he put another one on, and whir 3 times around, and the second one's full too. And so it went on until morning, and all the straw was spun in it, and it was full. All the reels were full of gold. It's all gold. By daybreak the king was already there, and when he saw the gold he was astonished and delighted. But his heart became only more greedy. He had the miller's daughter taken to another room full of straw, which was much larger, and commanded her to spin that also if in one night if she valued her life. The girl knew not how to help herself and was crying. When the door opened again, the little man appeared and said, What will you give me if I spin the straw into gold? The ring on my finger, answered the girl. The little man took the ring again and began to turn the wheel, and by morning had spun all the straw into glittering gold. The king rejoiced beyond measure at the sight, but still he had not enough gold, and he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw and said, You must spin this too in the course of the night. But if you succeed, you shall be my wife. Even if she be a miller's daughter, thought he, I could not find a richer wife in the whole world. When the girl was alone, Rumpilstiltskin came in for the third time and said, What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time also? I have nothing left that I could give, answered the girl. Then promise me, if you should become queen, to give me your first child. Who knows whether that will ever happen, thought the miller's daughter, and not knowing how else to help herself in the strait, she promised Rumpilstiltskin what he wanted, and for that he once spun more straw into gold. When the king came in the morning and found all as he had wished, he took her in marriage, and the pretty miller's daughter became queen. A year after she brought a beautiful child into the world, and she never gave a thought to the man, to Rumpilstiltskin. Suddenly came into her room and said, Now give me what you promised. The queen was horror-struck and offered Rumpilstiltskin all the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her the child. But Rumpilstiltskin said no. Something alive is dearer to me than all the treasures in the world. When the queen began to lament and cry, so Rumpilstiltskin pitied her. I'll give you 3 days' time, said he. If by that time you find out my name, then shall you keep your child. So the queen thought the whole night of all the names that she had ever heard. She sent a messenger over the country to inquire far and wide for any other names that there might be. When Rumpilstiltskin came the next day, she began with Casper, Melchior, Balthazar, and said all the names she knew, one after another. But to every one, the little man said, That is not my name. On the second day, she had inquiries made in the neighborhood as to the names of the people there, and she repeated to Rumpilstiltskin the most uncommon tears. Perhaps she knew even short of it, or sheepshanks, or lace leg. But he always answered, "That is not my name." On the third day, the messenger came back and said, "I have not been able to find a single new name, but as I came to a high mountain in the forest where the fox and the hare bird bid each other good night, there I saw a little house, and before the house a fire was burning, and round about the fire quite a ridiculous little man was jumping. He hopped upon one leg and shouted, 'Today I bake, tomorrow brew. The next day I'll have the young queen's child.' How glad I am that no one knew. At Rumpilstiltskin I am styled." You may imagine how glad the king was when she heard the name. And when soon afterwards the little man came in and asked, "Now, Mistress Queen, what is my name?" At first she said, "Is your name Conrad?" "No." "Is your name Harry?" "No." "Perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin." "The devil has told you that. The devil has told you that," cried Rumpelstiltskin, and in his anger he plunged his right foot so deep into the earth that his whole leg went in. And then in rage he pulled at his left leg so hard with both his hands that he tore himself in two. That's it.
All right, very well done.